Coming up, Tzu Chi holds a blessing ceremony in Nepal to mark the 1-month anniversary of the 7.8 magnitude earthquake. In Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers from Taichung help a mother-son pair embrace life once more after hitting rock bottom. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. May 25th marked 1 month since the massive 7.8 earthquake shook Nepal. In memory of all that has happened, Tzu Chi's disaster relief and medical team held an event to remember that day. Among the attendees was one 18-year-old volunteer who was inspired to write a song about Tzu Chi. These quake survivors have all been invited to a Tzu Chi blessing ceremony. The audience listens attentively to find out more about this organization from Taiwan, as they have all been volunteers for Tzu Chi in the wake of the earthquake. These Nepalese don't only want to be on the receiving end of things, they also look to give back.
Every time the world faces some disaster or famine.
This 18-year-old boy who has spent the past 2 weeks with Tzu Chi volunteers wrote a song.
We are Tzu Chi volunteers. Thank you.
At the very beginning, I just write a short line about the Tzu Chi and I showed it to the Tzu Chi volunteers, but I realized that this short line is not enough to express the things what Tzu Chi have done in the world, so I decided to write a song for Tzu Chi which can be sung, and I think this is a very beautiful song.
The earthquake in Nepal, though strong, has not destroyed the spirit and love within these residents' hearts. Donating their love, these quake survivors have become helpful members of society once again. To help the children of Nepal go back to school, Tzu Chi volunteers have been surveying damaged schools and negotiating with local governments regarding school reconstruction plans. We now take a look at how students in Nepal are coping in the wake of this recent earthquake.
Although their 3-story house crumbled, 13-year-old Roshan and his family escaped safely. But his books and stationery were buried in the rubble.
Try to again buy a new books with saving money. I feel so sad.
Roshan and his younger sister Roshana rummaged through the rubble of their former home and were ecstatic to find some of their old books.
Our collections of information.
I want to go to school because it gives us knowledge.
I am very sad that my children are out of school and other children can't resume classes either.
This
school in Baklapur was scheduled to open on May 15th. However, after a second quake struck Nepal, the school needs more time to repair, and thus opening day has been postponed.
From large schools in Kathmandu to small schools in more remote regions, almost all were damaged by the massive quakes. Facing a hole in the classroom wall, this school has postponed its reopening date.
I want to study, but there is no school.
According to Nepal's Education Department, more than 28,500 classrooms were destroyed in the quakes, while more than 12,400 classrooms need repairs. 4,500 temporary classrooms have been constructed since the earthquakes, but 15,000 more prefabricated classrooms are needed for the 870,000 waiting students to resume class.
I hope that my school will be open fastly. I want to make my future in my aim. There was my aim. I like to be good engineer in the future also.
This is the dormitory of the Nepal Police School. As you can see, the beds have shifted and things lay scattered on the ground. No one from the school has cleaned up this area.
Back in the classroom, no one has picked the school bags and books up off the floor.
This portion has to go down.
Or go down?
Yeah.
The blue and white clad volunteers are here to assess the damage.
The master values the whole project very highly, so we are here to evaluate the situation carefully.
Education gives a country hope, but children here have lost their chance to learn. 11-year-old Sarita follows along with her big brother to pick up bricks from the rubble.
I can't return to school after the quake, so I help my mother with work.
While most children are helping their parents rebuild, 16-year-old high school student Tzu Chi joined the Tzu Chi volunteers in distribution. Losing his grandmother in the earthquake, Tzu Chi volunteers have inspired Tzu Chi to overcome his grief by serving others.
We are so glad that people from the different part of the world are so helpful to the Nepalese people, and we could be pleased and we could help if they also need in some case.
Education is more than just learning knowledge. It is also about shaping one's moral character. As Tzu Chi volunteers spread seeds of love in Nepal, children here have realized that people around the world do care for them and are praying for their well-being.
Next, we travel to Libali, the second largest village in Bhaktapur, and visit the tent community there. What's interesting is that the tents in this area were donated by both China and Taiwan. In seeing the tents used next to one another, it seems to also represent the love coming from both sides of the strait pouring into Nepal. The blue tent I am walking out of is from China. The tent I'm walking into comes from the Red Cross of Taiwan.
Namaste!
This tent community with tents of two different colors is located near Bhaktapur's second largest village, Libali. These tents shelter a total of 614 people.
Although we were strangers in the beginning, now that we've lived here for a while, our hearts seem to slowly unite into one.
But now we are big family and we are now living together for each other.
Taking a closer look at the tents donated by the Red Cross Society of Taiwan, they seem to be a bit more comfortable and nicer to live in than the average tent. Unzipping the door, one can see that there is a second mesh door to keep the bugs at bay. Once inside, there is a divider to give the tent residents some privacy.
Taiwan tent? Yes. It's nice?
Nice, very good.
Very good.
With so many residents to manage in the tents community, a leader was selected.
I grew up here. Who else is better? This is the perfect time to give back to my people.
Feeling at ease, the children laugh and gather around the volunteers. Visiting the quake survivors, volunteers are making sure these residents' needs are taken care of in the days ahead. Xu Huiyi is a university professor who went to Nepal hoping to share Jingsi aphorisms teachings with local teachers. After sharing her experience and knowledge with a few Nepalese teachers, she was later invited to go to their schools to show them ways to incorporate the aphorisms into their curriculum.
5 kindergarten and 1 elementary school teacher have received a wonderful gift before school starts. A university professor from Malaysia, Xu Huiyi, is sharing her knowledge of Jingsi aphorisms.
I taught them 2 phrases. The more we do, the more we gain. The less we do, the more we lose. And don't underestimate yourself because everyone has boundless potential. I taught them the phrases through simple games.
This first educational exchange at the Libali tent community was a great success, and local teachers can't wait to learn more.
They told me that school opens on May 31st and that they hope we can go to their schools to share more jinx aphorisms.
That means our mouth must come out with a good word like a lotus flower, okay?
Kind words are like pure flowers, and the young translation volunteers are helping quake survivors overcome fear and heartache with their comforting words.
In order to better serve those still struggling to put their lives back on track following one of the worst earthquakes in recent memory in Nepal, members of the Tzu Chi disaster relief and medical team have been studying basic Nepalese greetings and songs. Volunteers have been using this newfound knowledge on behalf of the children living in Nepal's tense communities, many of whom have been traumatized by the disaster and are in need of much love, laughter, and care.
1, 2, 3. Resam piriri, resam piriri, urira jaunki darama banjing resam piriri.
This is a well-known children's song.
Resam piriri, resam piriri, urira jaunki darama banjing resam piriri.
Very good! Resam piriri.
The song has been adopted by Tzu Chi volunteers. Earlier that day, the volunteers were also learning simple Nepalese phrases and greetings.
Feri betongla. See you again. Betongla.
Tata.
Tata.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, Ramri means beautiful.
Ramri 其实也是美的意思，但是它是
Ramri. Ramri.
Okay.
Despite an unfamiliarity with the language, the volunteers are determined and prepared in more ways than one.
In fact, we have already been preparing for the past 10 years. We have been doing Tzu Chi that long and thus preparing ourselves at the same time.
The team is used to seeing the devastation that follows a disaster. However, their hearts break upon seeing children who should be full of laughter now mute and serious.
Amma. This is Amma. This is Mommy. Okay?
Mommy or Tata, Mama is Tata.
Okay? Okay? Now call me. This is
Mommy.
Okay, this is mine. 哦，今天真养了一个干儿子了。
Listen, piriri, listen, piriri，
来，不好意思。
It takes 1 hour 40 minutes to change the dressing of this 5-year-old child with a broken pelvis, while for former Taiwanese Transportation Minister Gu Pei-zhen assists despite having to kneel the entire time.
I was only helping out a short time. The child was in pain for so much longer than that.
Actually, volunteers are not allowed to cry in front of the disaster victims.
Mama, hug. Yes.
The children, though, lovingly wipe away the tears of their new mothers and follow up with a hug of gratitude.
Ms. Xu of Taichung, Taiwan, used to run a jewelry store with her husband. However, when her husband passed away 5 years ago, she decided to close the store and look after her mentally challenged son. The following year, a tragic fire almost destroyed their entire house and belongings. It was then that Tzu Chi volunteers stepped into the family's life.
Tzu Chi care recipient Ms. Xu and her son are often seen practicing recycling at Tzu Chi's recycling station.
I like Tzu Chi. The volunteers are so nice to us.
Ms. Xu's son suffers from a speech disorder, which was the result of a brain injury. However, he can pronounce the words Tzu Chi perfectly, as he knows the Tzu Chi volunteers are their pillar of support.
We are happier now that you volunteers have come into our lives. Our lives are more carefree and we don't think as much now.
I always encourage her to keep an open mind and hope that the more time she spends with us, the happier she'll become.
When Ms. Xu's husband passed away 5 years ago, she decided to close their jewelry store. The following year, she lost everything she and her husband had worked so hard to build to a fire. These series of misfortunes left Miss Xu in depression and wanting to end her own life.
Everything my husband and I worked so hard for after we got married was burned to ash. I don't think anyone can relate to that kind of shock. I don't want to think about it now. It pains me just to think about it.
The blaze destroyed 2/3 of their home and left the steel structure exposed, rendering it vulnerable against the elements. Empathizing with the family's situation, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to help the family repair their home.
It's cooler now that the walls are repainted and it looks cleaner too. Because Tzu Chi volunteers did such a wonderful job repairing our home, we are going to take really good care of it.
Miss Xu makes sure to clean her home each day as she cherishes the fact that her new home has been built on love.
The house is very comfortable, thank you. If it were not for you volunteers, I don't think I would have managed to repair my house in this lifetime.
There was a time when Miss Xu thought that she had lost everything that was dear to her, but thanks to the Tzu Chi volunteers, the love that was lost has been found again.
Tzu Chi has given me comfort, and when I am in need, they reach out with a helping hand. They encourage me and bring me warmth. In South Africa, Durban Tzu Chi volunteers travel through the remote mountain areas, bringing a mobile Buddha's altar with them so that even the old, sick, and frail may have a chance to honor the Buddha.
After much walking, the volunteers began to tire. After climbing up part of the hill, some of the volunteers had to stop to catch their breath. Here in the countryside of Durban, Tzu Chi volunteers have come to invite residents to attend upcoming Buddha Day ceremony. They've also decorated the Buddha altar with wildflowers. At this simple Buddha Day ceremony, attendees came together to pray and reflect. The volunteers also brought the Buddha altar to the home of a mentally ill care recipient, so he too could experience the grace of the Buddha. The volunteers light up a dark house with the light of a mobile phone, so this bedridden senior may also pay her respects to the Buddha. Overcoming long distances to hold their Buddha Day ceremony, volunteers have done much to bring peace of mind to residents living in South Africa's more remote areas.
In Indonesia's North Sumatra, a fire caused by an electrical short circuit broke out in the town of Kula Ledong, destroying 44 residential homes. As there is no Tzu Chi presence in the area, volunteers from the 3 surrounding districts quickly mobilized the following day to provide the fire victims with consolation cash. Meanwhile, a fire gutted a factory in Venezuela's city of the Philippines earlier this May that killed 72 workers. Many governmental and civic organizations, including Tzu Chi, extended their assistance to the family members of the fire victims.
It's really painful for us because my sisters were the bread earners of our family. They helped my mother. It's really difficult for us now that they are gone.
A blaze gutted a factory in Valenzuela City on May 13th, killing 72 workers who were inside at the time. Many families lost their only lifeline of support in the tragic accident. Government and civic organizations have come together to extend financial assistance to the families of the fire victims.
We have to make an effort to move on with our lives and live normally again, so that we can repay those organizations and people who have helped us.
Consumed with grief and sadness at the loss of their loved ones, only time can ease these families' pain. They will also need the support of kind-hearted people to see them through their darkest hours.
When my family heard that a fire had broken out, they immediately ran for the door. There wasn't enough time to take anything, as the blaze was really fierce. We watched our home burn to the ground.
Fire victims make their way back home to salvage any belongings spared by the flames. However, any attempt to salvage their belongings was hopeless after a fierce fire turned everything to ash. 44 families were left homeless.
When we received news of the fire last night, we came over immediately this morning to deliver consolation cash and to offer our assistance. If we had to give aid instead, we would still have to purchase rice and other items, and the relief would not be as timely.
In the day following the fire, Tzu Chi volunteers from Tebing Tinggi, Kisaran and Tanjung Balai distributed consolation cash, taking immediate steps to relieve the plight of the victims.
We are very thankful to the Tzu Chi Foundation. You volunteers had to travel a long way to get to us, and yet you were still willing to come and help us. On behalf of all our residents, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Tzu Chi.
We used to run a coffee shop, but the shop was burned to the ground. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for your assistance. I hope you may help our children return to school as well.
The consolation cash is just the first step to helping residents get back on their feet again. Tzu Chi volunteers will continue to support and accompany fire victims until their lives return to normal.
We turn our focus back to Nepal. Tzu Chi's disaster relief and medical team recently accompanied a patient to DaAi Hospital to get her tumor removed. The emergency room director was really happy to see the volunteers, as he had heard of the good deeds Tzu Chi has been doing around the quake-devastated area. Volunteers also took the time to make good on a promise. Receiving 10 sheets of tarps from Tzu Chi, the villagers are happy beyond belief.
Very happy. All blaze.
Oh,
very
thank you,
happy.
thank you.
Very happy.
Thank you. Very thank you. Helping me, Taiwan people are very thank you for Nepal. Nepali people.
Thank you very much.
Knowing that there is a bit of a communication problem, the village chief writes down his gratitude to Tzu Chi instead.
Your name is Jabin.
Yes. Young volunteer Krishan, who had helped in Nepal as a translator, has joined in on this visit as well. Spending so much time with Tzu Chi volunteers, he's learned to make friends by sharing his candy.
Thank you. Namaste.
Volunteers next accompany Masina to treat the tumor on her neck at DaAi Hospital. Seeing Tzu Chi, the emergency room director was glad to finally meet representatives from the organization.
Many doctors and volunteers came to my locality at Timi in Bhaktapur. But I have not seen them, but my family said that many Taiwanese people, the organizations came there to support us. Thank you very much for Tzu Chi.
After a thorough examination, the doctors scheduled Mastina for tumor removal surgery the very next day, in hopes that the procedure will help cure the patient's ailments. Recently, Tzu Chi from Kaohsiung Medical University visited the children's cancer ward with the mobile Buddha's Day altar so that the young ones can honor and bathe in the Buddha's grace. We will leave you with these images at the end of the show. Thank you for watching the program. Goodbye.